Harry, Gloria, Mike, Bill, Bob, JD, and Barbara.
Okay, we're ready.
And the two that are in person is JD and Mike, right?
Hmm?
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
We'll call the meeting to order. And the only thing that we have on this special meeting is the town funds that have been sent to us, and we are to form a committee for dispersing the funds.
Bob, if you would,
Correct, Debbie?
yes, if you would like, I will read you the motion from the town council.
Yes.
And that way everybody have a pretty clear understanding of what they were looking for. And I'll just read you the
Okay.
paragraph that relates to that motion. It says, Councilman Sawyers addressed the struggle of our local businesses due to the COVID-19 pandemic, noting that federal funds are already gone, and this is especially hurting small businesses. Councilman Sawyers offered a motion to allocate $100,000 to the St. Paul IDA to assist our local business owners, with $30,000 to be awarded in grants and $70,000 in 0% interest loans from local banks guaranteed by the IDA. He further stated in his motion that the grants would be awarded as reimbursement upon receiving receipts of expenditures, and awards could be up to $5,000. Councilman Sayer seconded the motion, noting that Norton, Wise County, and Lenawisco have created similar programs. Councilman Sayer also added that business license and all taxes should be current in order to qualify. Ms. Baca mentioned that Main Street was applying for a competitive grant in the amount of $25,000 that required a 1-to-1 match. If the IDA committed $25,000 of the loan money to match the Main Street grant, the $100,000 could result in $125,000 available to our businesses if the grant is awarded. Following discussion about the different programs available to businesses, Councilman Sayers said the IDA may not be privy to what other monies are being received by an applicant. The town attorney recommended that since the money is being allocated to the IDA, they should be the entity to form the committee and establish the guidelines and the qualifications required. Councilman Sawyers said he will be voting on the motion, but neither he nor his wife will be applying for any money. He restated his motion to allocate $100,000 to the IDA to assist small businesses as a result of the financial hardship created by this crisis. $70,000 shall be awarded as 0% interest loans and $30,000 in grants, with a maximum of $5,000 per business, and that all business license and taxes must be current in order to qualify. And then they took a vote, and it was 5-0 with Councilman Bailey abstaining.
Okay.
So that's how this came about.
So the 100,000, 30 of it is going to be in grants, and then 70 would be in loans. But of that 70, 25 would go as a matching fund to Kathy for her application to get an additional 25. Is that correct?
That
Main Street.
Yeah, that part was left up to the committee, but that was a suggestion that 25 would be to match her grant, so we could convert that into 125,000.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? So the only.
All right. The council would. I mean, the council is going to create a committee, right?
No, the IDA needs. That's what you all need to do tonight, is create a committee, and that committee needs to meet as soon as possible to set the guidelines for this application process and qualification process. I have already written the check from the town to the IDA. And another thing I'd like for y'all to address tonight is possibly the committee check around at the banks to determine if we're going to use more than one, if we're going to use one. And I think we need to create a separate account for this $100,000. I don't want to mix it in with our money, with the IDA money.
The town has asked us to set up a committee, and they've suggested that myself and Kathy Stewart and Josh would be on that committee with the input from any of our board members. And Josh has sort of worked up he's called it a Spark Recovery Fund with certain guidelines. And Debbie, you have a copy of that?
I do, but I thought that was just a copy of the one Kathy did.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's kicking. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Okay.
Different amounts, but it's kicking the COVID. And this is a Spark Recovery, which stands for St. Paul Assistance and Recovery Kit.
Okay.
Spark. So anybody have any questions right now?
You might want to share those guidelines that was suggested by Josh if you have it printed out there, Bob.
I do. I've got both of them.
It would be helpful.
You want me to, Kim, you don't have a copy of that, do you, Deb?
It's in my email, and I've blocked out my computer for the evening, but
Okay. I can send it to everybody in the morning.
okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, or I can do that when I get back in my email. I can do that too.
Okay. And then the committee is going to work from this, either approve as is or make any corrections or any additions. For one thing I have here is that under acceptable use of the funds is rent, utilities, payroll, insurance, sanitation, and inventory. And the funds may not be used for personal use, purchase of non-essential items, investment, and outstanding debt. And outstanding debt, for example, the bakery, we have guaranteed their loan with Miners Exchange Bank. It sounds like this Twilight Zone. And I don't feel like outstanding debt to us in particular can be waived. I think we still need to bring them current. And I'm talking in particular about the bakery. Any comments on that?
Well, did you say, does it say whether or not, you said some of the items listed that are covered?
Acceptable uses are rent, utilities, payroll, insurance, sanitation, and inventory.
But
Those
not
are
loans.
acceptable uses. But and under the funds that are not to be used for is personal use, purchase of non-essential items, outstanding debt, and investment. Now we're tied in indirectly with outstanding debt for the bakery through Miners Exchange Bank.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that may be one item that I want to change to
At least
we
make
could
it
say
current.
he's going to have to make the payment or have it deducted from whatever. If they apply, that means they apply. I do know, and I checked on it today, they're not 30 days out. They're one payment behind as of today, but they still owe about $80-something in penalties and interest where they've been late. And so I would want them to catch their current payment up plus the interest and penalties that they've had for being late. That way they're current when they come into the program, if they decide to come into the program. Debbie?
Yeah, I think you could probably, when reviewing the applicants, because they have a guaranteed loan, address that with them, you know,
Oh, yeah.
at least penalty and interest should be paid. That's not paying off their debt.
No, it's not paying off the debt, but it keeps, every time they're late, they get that added to that amount.
And that
So
might,
right
you
now,
know,
they're,
the payment, monthly debt payment might be something that the IDA committee would want to reconsider.
that's what I'm saying.
I
We
mean,
have,
people have
what
these
Josh-
bank payments, you know.
here's what Josh had sent this out, and that's what the committee will do. We'll look at this and see if there's anything we want to adjust on this. It's not in stone yet, and neither Kathy's may be, but it's a little bit different. So I would hope all of them would apply for both if they can. I think hers is a little bit more. It's a little bit more information that she wants, I guess, under the Main Street guidelines. For example, they want financials for the first quarter, and we don't have that in ours.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you from owning a small business, when I had the gas station, if somebody told me I had to produce first quarter financials in the following month, I would have had to do without it because I couldn't have done it.
That's right. They want the first quarter, and we just ended the first quarter in March, at the end of March. So most of them won't have it.
And most accounting firms that help small businesses, you're lucky to get it 3 months after the quarter ends.
Yep.
And if you do it yourself, you don't ever have time to stay that current.
Plus, Debbie, most accounting firms are working on taxes right now, or they're
COVID
looking on the
stuff.
triple.
They're also
Triple
working
P.
on the PPP. So
That's what I said, triple P.
Yep.
So that being the case, I'll talk to Debbie about it, but I don't know that that's going to be something that'll come up very easily for anybody. I don't care how small or big you are. All right. Anything else, Debbie?
No, unless the whole board wants to give some input on putting this money in a separate account to guide me on that. I personally would prefer to put it in a separate account, and Barbara, you can't really participate in this because it's conflict, but we have money at Miners, we have money at True Point, and I think it would probably be a good thing so that we are with all three of our in-town banks to go ahead and open an account at Carter's, and that way we have accounts at all three. The town tries to do that as well.
Sure.
The other thing I want to point out is that Kathy's is for the Main Street area only, the downtown revitalization area.
Exactly.
I think this 100,000 will be, except for the 25 matching, will be for all businesses located in St. Paul.
Yes.
And I also think if, let's assume you got more applicants than you had money for, in addition to qualification criteria, I think you ought to have need criteria to help rank them, because you may have to make choices. You may not. You may have enough money to go around. There may only be 5 people apply. But I would suggest when the committee meets that you have some kind of prioritizing criteria.
Do you have amount of money that you're going to allow to each business, or how are you gonna manage that?
Maximum 5.
And I would
See,
imagine
that's-
that would even be a combination.
That could be a combination of grant and loan. I'm assuming, Debbie.
I would assume, I think that's again a committee decision. Yeah, a maximum of 5,000 per business. And I'm assuming everybody's
Good.
gonna apply for grant first.
Yep.
Can't imagine they do otherwise. And you could do it a first come, first serve. You could do it on a need base, but those are the kind of things I think the committee needs to talk about. Because if you put 30,000 out there as grant or forgivable loan, I prefer a forgivable loan. That way you don't have it comes off your books over a 5-year period rather than all at one time. But either way, whether it's a grant or a forgivable loan, that's only 6 businesses. And I think you will see a pretty good response to that.
You mean people actually want free money?
And then you're going to have to decide how to get this information to all the businesses.
Right.
To make sure everybody's aware.
We'll just have to hand deliver probably, or shoot it out in one big email.
Kathy has a good contact list of the Main Street businesses, I think. But if we're going to reach throughout the whole town, then we may have to hand deliver or mail a notice to all the other ones.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have anything?
Do we need to make a motion that we open up a new account at Carter's?
And establish a committee. Yeah, I think you need to.
Establish a committee.
I think the
It'll be
committee
two
also,
separate.
probably 2 motions. One is to establish a committee with whomever you all select to be on it, and the to do the guidelines and qualifications. And the other would be to deposit the money by opening a new account at Carter Bank.
I can make a motion that we open up an account and deposit in the Carter Bank.
I got it.
We got a motion and a second. You got a motion and a second, Debbie?
I got a motion. I didn't hear a second.
I'll second.
Harry?
Thank you, Harry. Could Debbie, could you have a roll call vote on this, including myself?
Sure. Yeah, because we'll probably have an abstention. Okay. Harry? Gloria?
Yes.
Mike? Bill? Jesse? Barbara? Barbara?
She can't vote.
I know
She had
she
to
does.
abstain probably.
She will. What did she say?
Abstain.
Hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I abstain from voting on that.
Okay. And Bob?
I vote yay.
Okay. So that's 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Mhm.
Okay, the next item is to vote on the committee. Do you have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion, Bob, that we form the committee and name the committee Bob Harrison, Nancy Stewart, and Josh Sawyers. Also to establish the guidelines that goes along with this.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
That's you, Jake? Okay, any other discussion?
One more thing, Bob, to apply for this grant or loan, a business would have to be already here prior to what date? Like January of 2020 or when?
I think it would be, let's see, I think we wanted to have it by probably before, on March 1. They have to be in business on March 1,
Okay.
20-
Also,
2020.
yes, also let that go into my motion that they would have to also be in business as of March the 1st, 2020.
I got it, Harry.
Okay, do I have a second to that amended motion?
I second.
And Gloria second. Do you have a roll call vote,
Uh,
Debbie?
Okay. Harry? Gloria?
Aye.
Mike? Bill? Barbara? JD?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Right.
Is that all we got, Debbie?
That's all we got.
Debbie or I'll send out I'm gonna send out both what Main Street is doing as far as their qualifications, as well as what Josh had come up with, and they call it the Spark Recovery Fund. It came from the council. And we'll try to set a meeting up as soon as possible, hopefully this week.
Great.
And if anybody's got any suggestions or comments, send them to me or Debbie, and we'll incorporate them into the meeting. But I would hope to have a meeting this week.
Sounds good.
Anybody else have anything that we need to discuss right now?
Nope.
Okay. And Debbie, Linda had called me and said that if we needed her, she was available, but she wasn't going to be able to make it.
Okay.
She was on the road, I think.
Okay.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion with adjourn.
I second it.
No second. All
I
in
second
favor, signify by saying aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank y'all. I know this is a little bit difficult because I had a hard time getting up and I still haven't got on. And I just thought I'd do it this way. A lot easier for me.
All right,
We'll
guys.
We'll do it again.